What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com! Oh, diets. We all want to be as big, as strong, as good as the pros. We want to know what they're doing, exactly what pro bodybuilders are eating, what they're doing. We want to emulate their macronutrients. We want to be them. We want to make gains. We want to have arms the size of Ronnie Coleman in his heyday. We want to have a back like Dorian Yates. We want to weigh 310 pounds in the off-season. Maybe not. Some people do. We want a diet to conditioning never before seen. Or, worst case scenario, you want to look damn good in your board shorts when you go to the beach, and you're looking all sexy and fly for the ladies. So we ask ourselves, how do these guys do cardio? What do they do when they diet? And you'll read the magazines and they'll have these cool little diets set up. And they'll make it look like these guys really do something scientific and intricate. As someone who spent time with Ronnie Coleman, last week I was with Victor Martinez and Akeem Williams just there. As someone who's trained with Dorian Yates, as someone who spent time with probably all of the main bodybuilders in the industry, such as Kai Green, Phil Heath. At the end of the day, you cannot emulate what pro bodybuilders do, the same as I cannot emulate what LeBron James does and become a great basketball player. One thing is, number one, I have yet to meet a bodybuilder who knows what the hell macros they have or who really even uses a food scale most of the time. This is not to their discredit. These guys have been doing this for so long where they kind of eyeball it. However, I know a lot of natural pros like Doug Miller, like Marshall Johnson. I don't know, actually Marshall might be old school like this, but they literally carry a food scale with them in restaurants. They're militant. They do what it takes. However, a lot of these pros, they simply go to restaurants and eat clean. So instead of saying, I'll have chicken, then they measure it out with their scale, and I'll have baked potato and measure it out with the scale. Phil Heath, we were at Tokyo Joe's 3 weeks out from the Olympia, not a food scale to be seen. And you know Tokyo Joe's ain't weighing out their food. Phil went on to win that Mr. Olympia. That was 2 years ago. Another thing bodybuilders tend to do is they switch food choices. For example, the fish thins your skin joke that we make online, which actually, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense. Thin skin essentially means you have no fat. What they do is they switch from meats like steak and chicken to low-fat fish like tilapia. Tilapia is extremely low in fat and has no carbohydrate. If you switch from steak with probably 15 grams of fat per 20 grams of protein to tilapia, which is essentially all protein, that's caloric adjustment right there. So that right there is decreasing calories. So like it or not, they are adhering to some kind of a progression ideal in their dieting by switching to meats. But as their retarded coaches will tell them, the fish actually does thin your skin through some unknown physiological mechanism yet discovered by any Harvard, Yale, or Brown scientists. Off-season calories. Off-season calories. Hell, Akeem ate a large pizza for breakfast the day I saw him. He ate Fruity Pebbles pre-workout. His off-season calories need to be about 9,000 for him to need to maintain. The guy is 290 pounds and most of it is lean. The guy couldn't have been over 10 to 12% body fat. That's a difference. And I'll get into the reasons why they can do that and you can't. Unless, of course, Akeem, Victor, and all those guys. By the way, Akeem, I'd like to thank you and Muscle Meds for this sweatshirt from last week. It fits nice. And I believe red brings out the red in my nose. Anyway, cardio. Generally speaking, you're not going to see a 290-pound man running a sprint. Victor walks. We actually joked about it. High intensity for him is walking a little bit faster. His general cardio, which you will see in my interview series with Victor, hitting in about 4 weeks. Victor's cardio is at 2.8 speed. For those of you with a treadmill, 2.8 is a pretty slow walk. If he wants to increase the intensity, he puts his incline up to 2 or 3. I mean, it's not very intense, but you have to realize they're moving a lot of weight. So for you to think that their 45 minutes of cardio is the same as your 45 minutes of cardio, you're a little bit mistaken. They're going a lot slower. So that's why they need to do 2 hours sometimes of cardio, because they're not really moving that fast. And because they're making up for the fact they don't measure their food and they don't know how many calories they've really gotten in. However, they bring in the conditioning in the Olympia, these guys are coming in. It's been insane. Victor brings shredded glutes to the stage. So you guys know what they do works. So we got all this. They don't measure their food for the most part. I'm sure some of them do. They do cardio exactly how you were told not to. You're told high intensity interval training is the way to go. They do extremely, extremely, extremely slow cardio. One reason they get away with cardio, these guys train really hard. Akeem trains like a monster. So that actually, and you'll see in the interview with him coming in about 3 weeks, he actually activates a lot of those cardio hormones just going really, really, really hard in the gym. So cardio isn't as necessary when you have 290 pounds moving around, lifting heavy ass weights for high repetitions. The reasons are genetics. These guys, generally bodybuilders at the high level, have an extremely fast metabolism. So they're able to get away with a lot more. So if they go over on their calories that they need by 200 to 500 or 1,000, being that they're going to be at a much higher calorie level anyway, going over by 500 calories, you consume 6,000 for your diet, is much less impactful than going over by 500 calories when you have a 2,000 calorie diet, in the point of how much it really messes you up. So they make that up with their cardio and with other things like pro bodybuilding on that level, not talking the natural level, there's drugs involved. As for the people I know, I'm not going to say what they do if I know what they do, but bodybuilders have been known to use things like T3 and also, drugs that help them burn fat. So there are drugs involved. I don't think drugs are a main variable, but I think that what drugs do is if their diet's not 100% on point, if they go to IHOP, if they eat out and they don't measure every meal, the drugs give them that extra caloric metabolic boost that gets them to lose fat still. Honestly, sheer size. Sheer size. If you're 290 pounds, 260 even of lean mass, I'll tell you what, when I competed as a lightweight at 154 pounds, I dieted on 1,100 calories. My last show, I was between 3,500 and 4,000 calories. And I'm telling you what, this show wasn't on. I don't even say that because I'm going to get haters. This show, let's say I wasn't taking anything crazy. I wasn't taking T3 or Clen or anything. Can you guys buy that without calling me a fake natty? I wasn't on any fat burners. Yet I was able to diet on a very high level of calories. Even right now, with all the OCR and stuff I do, since I am still about 220 to 225 pounds at 5'7" 3/4, I'm able to eat a lot of calories. I mean, it is what it is. So size. The more muscle you have, the more fat, the more calories you burn through. So that's how they're able to get through with a subpar diet. So here's the take home. You're not a pro body. You're not an IFBB pro. You're not Ronnie Coleman. You're not Akeem Williams. You're not Victor Martinez. You're not Dexter Jackson. You're not Sean Roden. You're not Phil Heath. You're not Kai Green. Hell, you're not even that guy from Europe who gets on stage with the big GH gut, who everybody wonders how the fuck he is at the Olympia. You are normal. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to weigh your food. You need to do your cardio. You need to do it hard. You need to do things that they don't need to do. There are certain things I know in life. Some is that there are people on earth who are great at things. The bodybuilders on this earth, albeit you might point to different things, I can give you, and I'm pointing at you, I can give you all the drugs they're taking. I can give you all the food they're taking. I can get you out of your job. You're probably still going to look decently shitty compared to them at the end of the day. These guys are awesome. They are the bodybuilding equivalent to LeBron James in basketball, to Stephen Curry, to friggin' Michael Jordan. They are amazing physical specimens. So the real truth is those articles you see in the magazine about what they eat in their meal plan is bullshit. They do have a meal plan, but generally it's like for breakfast I have steak and eggs. For lunch, I have chicken and rice. But they're not really micro-analyzing down to the gram. But it works for them because they're the genetic elite. However, you get some freaks like Dorian back in the day who was very meticulous, who was able to take not really the greatest genetics compared to who he was up against, the Sean Rays, the Flex Wheelers, the Kevin Lavronis. Those guys should have beat Dorian. But in a game of inches, sometimes that little bit helps. And Dorian was just good enough where he was able to use hard work to crush people who crushed him genetically. Does that make sense, guys? So what I'm saying is, pros are awesome. They're great to look at, great to watch, and great to take certain tips from. However, when it comes to diet, it's your diet, not their diet, and adjust accordingly. I'm Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Keep an eye open. I'm hoping to have it by the first week of February. My week of Muscle Meds Akeem Williams takeover on the Tiger Fitness channel. Akeem is a college graduate, extremely smart man, and some of the information I got from Akeem on the interviews and also during training is going to go down to some of the most insightful information on bodybuilding on YouTube ever. Because Akeem is just an insightful, very, 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 very astounding young man at 30 years old. Victor Martinez, you're going to see some old school insight. This is probably going to happen the week after MHP's week. You're going to see some awesome insight and basically how he stays in the game for so long. We cover the fact that he's had some debilitating injuries that would have ended everybody else's career. He's still going. We cover his diet. And of course, you'll see us training chest. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Because try and eat like an IFBB pro when you're just a regular Joe. That's not a game.